Right. Hello and welcome to the Zonal Weakness brought to you by Ghana Football Fantasy, powered by Fantasy Football Scout. And this is the Zonal Weakness for Game Week 35. And tonight, of course, it's Bethany who's joining me. Bethany, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yes, I actually had a good week. So it's nice to come on finally and be like, I moved. I'm not still stuck in my 500 to 700k rank. So yeah, I played my free hit this week, which has gone really nicely. I managed to avoid Palmer. I went Bowen instead. I had Sessegnon, had 8 Nuri. I went Strand Larson instead of Jimenez. So I don't have any players left to play. So obviously, as we're recording this, there's still the Brentford Forest game left tonight. But I currently have 102 points, and I've gone 200k up. So I'm around the 280k mark. So hoping to still stay within 300k at the end of tonight, which would be really nice. Huge change. How about you?
Well, I can see you're really bubbling with joy, so it's great. It's great to see you in that stage, to be honest. No, I played my free hit too, and I had a very good game week. I think the only player who did not really deliver for me, Van Dijk, Leno.
I went Allison in goal, and yeah, disappointing.
Yeah, so Van Dijk and Leno, I think those are the two players that did not deliver for me. So it was at the team that I made. I didn't really bother. I went for Larson. I kind of picked up all the players that I had seen on the zonal. The only thing I was really wondering whether I should go for Trippier or whether I should go for Barnes, and then I ended up picking none. And I think that was the mistake that I made. So that's the only word. Yeah, I wish I would have gone for Trippier.
50-50. Could have easily gone the other way.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But no, I've finally managed to reach about 500,000K. So I'm glad that I managed to break that 700,000 barrier where I don't know, I was stuck since eternity, I would rather call it. But anyway, I've managed to do so. So I'm quite happy. Of course, Mbomo can still destroy my rank, kick me out of the 500,000 rank. But I hope he and would just go silent a little bit. And, if somebody like Visa or Skada or, or Shada, or however you pronounce his name, if they just manage to sneak in one goal, taking away Nottingham Forest's clean sheet, that would be very nice, right? Yeah.
1-0 Brentford, a random place.
Yeah, what? Yeah, 1-0 Brentford, or even 1-1 is fine with me, and no problem. But the thing is, it just cannot be Wood or Mbomo.
Yeah,
just can't be these two players because they're the ones, according to Live FPL, they're the ones who are really posing a serious threat. But anyway, now that even the zonal has done so well in the game week 34, let's look at game week 35. The game week 36, by the way, the double game week is still alive, I believe. So the hope is still there.
I think literally an hour, I think it's a no-go. They're keeping them where they are.
Okay. So I wish all the best to all the people who have kept their triple captainship for game week 36 while they were having a good laugh at us who played in 33 or 32. Yeah, I wish them all the best. I'm a Saka triple captain, so I can't really laugh at others. Yeah, but yeah, I wish them luck. Anyway, this is the zonal weakness for game week 35, of course, and all the. Before we get into the show, I just wanted to say that if you are not following us or like our videos and haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so now. Bethany and myself, as well as Sankab, have been doing this over the year, and we started this last year. So we've been doing it, and this is where you get to see more teams covered in terms of the goals conceded and the chances conceded. So the weaknesses are really there for more teams in the pod rather than in the thread that we tend to do. But of course, so please do keep following us, and all the stats that you see are taken from Fantasy Football Scout members area. If you're interested in the link, click in the description below. If you're interested in the membership, then click the link in the description below. Sorry, I kept on saying that wrong, right? I don't know why, but anyway, and yeah, you would get a 40% discount. That's a nice ad for Fantasy Football Scout, by the way. Here it is, Bethany. A little bit of white, more green, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to comment on that. I did it last week all by myself, and I found it quite tough to maintain it. But I leave it to your able hands, and I leave it to you to deal with it. So over to you, Bethany.
Yep. So first up, we've got West Ham, and I think as it's been for the last few seasons, really the standout player for West Ham is always Bowen, and it's nice because this week the zonal matches up and suggests he should have another good week. He came up trumps for me in my free hit last week, and I'm hoping to bring him in permanently to my team this week. So yeah, chances conceded down the centre against Spurs is ranked third. So Bowen would be the one I'd be going for in that game. You've got Spurs against West Ham there, and they'd be an avoid for me. Don't know what Spurs are going to do. They likely get a goal, but they let an awful lot of goals against them this season. They seem to be the weakest team, and they've got the Europa fixture tonight. And that seems to be their focus at the moment. They've kind of given up on the league. There's nothing to play for them. They're not being relegated, though they got close. And yeah, nothing else to play for. So I think avoid, despite all the whites, which is a shame, but you just can't call who's going to start or what they're going to do. And they are likely to be tired after having played midweek.
Was it a dig at me?
What did you say?
I said, did you just take a dig at me with some team being relegated and just managed to survive? I don't know. But anyway, over to you, Bethany. It's coming. It's coming anyway. I'm just being prepared. Okay.
Brentford up next. And again, the standout option is quite clear. And 𝐁𝐿 is the one to go for. Again, really like him as an option. He's been so consistent across the season. And crosses conceded down the left flank by Man United. They're ranked 5th. I know some people are liking Visser, and he's not a bad choice this week. Chances conceded down the centre are 8th. So if you do want a forward, he's not a bad one to go for, just not quite as good an option as 𝐁𝐿. Then we've got Man United, and yeah, sorry, back to my feeling of don't go there. I think they're struggling to score goals. And while Bruno would be my usual go-to out of any of them, he's not in white, and I think with your likes of Bowen and 𝐁𝐿, Diaz, etc., there are much better options out there in midfield at the moment. So they're an avoid for me. Interestingly, there's no standout options for Nottingham Forest on here, but there are a couple that are close. So you've got Wood and Gibbs-White ranked 6th for chances conceded down the centre. Elanga in there down the left flank. So if you were looking for a forward, I don't think Wood's a bad option this week or going forward, or Elanga and Gibbs-White in midfield because they're only just outside that white zone. And we've seen Crystal Palace kind of fall apart and concede lots of goals recently. It's nice to see some Crystal Palace assets on here. Seems I still own 3. So Mateta, Sarr, Munoz are all still in my team. I know Eze's still in a lot of other people's teams. Frustratingly, they seem to have managed to do really well playing midweek fixtures outside of our FPL teams. Sarr would have got double digits, I think, if it counted towards my FPL team. But nice to see that they're ranked 1st, 2nd, and 3rd for chances conceded across those favourite positions. So I was looking to move some of these players on this week, but after seeing the zonal, that's kind of changed my mind a bit, actually. So I think if you've got them, I'd keep them. I wouldn't buy them this week, but I think if you've got them, they could be nice options. Then we've got Newcastle, and it's the same players that come up all the time. There again, Isaac, Murphy, Trippier, all looking like nice options. Again, Brighton's been a really weird side the last few weeks and have conceded quite a few goals to teams. Just be warned that Murphy will get reduced minutes, definitely. We're not 100% sure he starts. It could be Barnes there, but even if Murphy starts, he will come off around the 60, 65-minute mark, I think, now that Gordon's back to make room for him. But I like all 3 options. So if you've got them already, keep them. I'm even potentially looking at Trippier in defence this week just because my defence is awful. And we've seen what he can do with those attacking returns. So if he could use that left flank, might go well for him again. And then we've got Brighton, and obviously the zonal doesn't suggest anything there, and they'd be an avoid for me. We have no idea who's starting for them at the moment. Players like Minter and Matoma, who do quite well, get benched. They are conceding lots of goals. It's not particularly easy for them at the moment. So, yeah, they're an avoid for me.
Right. Moving on to the next slide. And yeah, I'm not going to comment. Over to you, Bethany.
Yeah, so obviously in Liverpool have got Chelsea this week. They've obviously won the league technically already. So whether that changes anything, I don't know. That they might settle down and slow down a bit. I did really like Diaz and Gakpo. They both did really well last week. I think the tricky thing with them, again, is that they are likely to be subbed early. So although it looks good for them down the right flank, neither of them do that 90 minutes, because they both, if they start, they get subbed off for somebody else, or one of them starts and the other one gets switched on. So yeah, if you own them, play them. I'd lean Diaz, I think. He's got slightly more minutes in him consistently, but I probably wouldn't buy either of them this week, or any other Liverpool players, because we haven't seen whether they're going to be on the beach now that they've won the league. Similarly, Man City. I think this is quite surprising. I think people probably, like me, would have thought that Wolves would have given up more chances than they have. And so nobody's standing out here for Man City. And as we've got Pep Roulette continuing to go on, I wouldn't be buying this week. If you've got a Marmouche, you've got a De Bruyne, they're okay to play, but the zonal doesn't suggest that they're going to do anything spectacular this week. So I might bench them, and I definitely wouldn't captain them. Similarly, we've got the reverse of Wolves versus Man City, and not many chances there either. We know Man City love to concede a goal. I can imagine someone like Kuna grabbing a goal here, but I wouldn't be bringing anybody in this week. And yeah, benching your 𝐸 probably, because they're likely not to keep a clean sheet, and his chances for crosses don't look great. Arsenal against Bournemouth isn't a bad matchup. You've got kind of eights and ninths ranked there. But again, I think they're likely to be highly rotated this week, because they've also, the Premier League isn't their only focus. So I think an avoid, because I couldn't recall who started. If you've got a defender like Raya or Saliba, I think they might start, and I think you might be okay there, but I wouldn't be going for any of the attackers or bringing anybody in this week. Likely to get a 1 point cameo, probably. Next up, we've got Fulham, and in the chances and crosses conceded, it's two players that are standing out, both Iwobi and Robinson. Both great players, have been really consistent across the season. I like them both. I like Iwobi as a punter midfield. I nearly went there with him on my free hit. He was on my bench, and he got a return. Robinson, I think we just need to maybe watch out. I haven't heard any more. He wasn't in the matchday squad last weekend at all. He missed out completely, and I'm not sure. There was some rumours of injury, other rumours. So yeah, just need to make sure that he's definitely fit and available to play. But otherwise, both of them could be nice options this week. Then we've got Villa, and again, I know some people are thinking about moving on to Villa when they thought they might have a double coming up. And obviously, we've got Rashford out for the season, which puts Watkins as a much better option. I like Watkins going forward. I'm just not sure this is the week for him. Headed chances conceded is 6th, 12th for down centre, so nothing spectacular there. But it would be Rodgers and Watkins if I was going anywhere. Again, still plenty of rotation in that team as well, with Asensio, Ramsey, etc. Marlon. To call, I think, other than Rodgers and Watkins, and probably not this week. Next up, we've got Everton against Ipswich, and any Everton players look like they could do well with this week. I quite like Ndiaye, Doucouré, Mykolenko, especially if you're struggling with defenders this week, like I am. And Mykolenko could be a nice option. I like Beto, and I'd originally considered bringing him in this week for this fixture. But he hasn't necessarily been starting or doing that well. So obviously the zonal suggests he could do well this week. But I would be a little bit worried, and I'd probably go for one of the others. But yeah, any of them could do well this week. And then finally, you've got Leicester. And I mean, I think they're an avoid. They've relegated. But Jamie Vardy's there on 3 for headers conceded and 6 for chances conceded down centre. I heard somewhere he's on 198 goals for Leicester. We know he's now leaving. So he's got 2 goals to get in the last couple of games. So if you wanted one last go at the Jamie Vardy party, it's not the worst punt in the world, I don't think, against Southampton, and I think he plays Ipswich as well in the next couple of games. So Vardy's the only one I'd vaguely look at, but only if you're willing to risk it and be met with 1 or 2 pointer.
Interesting shout, that one. Interesting observation. No, really. I mean, I didn't knew. So, yeah, 198, couple of games, leaving Leicester, leave your footprint, leave the Premier League. Yeah, it's all there. He still has some sort of a personal milestone that he needs to achieve. And this is the time now that the league has been won and Liverpool might be on the beach. But yeah, these are the teams that we should be looking at, right? Anyway, thank you so much for that additional insight. But yeah, here's the team of the week. What do you think?
Yeah,
better mix it though.
I don't have many of these players, which is slightly worrying. I've got
at
the moment I don't have any of those. Oh, Munoz. I've got Munoz in my own team currently. I'm hoping to bring in Bowen. I really like him, and I might bring in Trippier. Oh, and I've got Salah, so that's not too bad. But like I said before, I think the Spurs boys are an avoid, and I think an Everton punt on 1 probably is all right. I don't think I'd go for the triple up on Everton because they are still Everton. But yeah, I do like Bowen. Bowen is my player of choice in the team of the week. I think he could do really well because he's got that potential to get both assists and goals. And yeah, I still think Murphy could do well. I wish Murphy was getting the 90 minutes still, and I'd still have him in my team. That's the only thing that puts me off him. But yeah, I really like Trippier, and I'm glad because I'd been considering Trippier anyway. And I'm glad the zonal kind of confirms that he would be a good choice for this week.
If you had to make 2 transfers this week, which 2 players would it be? Which suggestion?
Bowen transfer, and I know he's not on the zonal weakness one, but on the team of the week. But I'd go Mbromo as my other one. Bowen and Mbromo. If I was going for 2 on here, I'd go Bowen and Trippier.
Okay, I think that's Mbromo. Yeah, he's a good shout. Nonetheless, yeah.
Good for the rest of the season too. Both of them got some nice fixtures up.
Right. Thanks, Bethany. Thanks so much for doing it. And audience, please do keep on. I mean, there's a couple of game weeks left, and we'll be back, of course. But until then, we'll see you next week. Thanks, Bethany, once again.
Thank you.
Yeah. Best of luck, and may your arrows be green. Take care.
And yours.